Okay, Josh.
Okay, so this is a impromptu SEO workshop for my mentorship students, and I decided to open this up to the White Hat versus Black Hat group too. On a nice Sunday, if you guys want to jump on in and ask SEO questions, you can do so on the YouTube stream, which I posted, or you can actually join the live hangout and ask your questions via a mic, because that might be nice, because I know I get tired of hearing my voice. You guys must get tired of hearing my voice too. So anyway, Desmond and I were having a nice little conversation, and Desmond was talking about how he joined and kind of the differences. Do you want to just mention what the differences you noticed when you joined my group?
Yeah, what I noticed first and foremost, the testing, right? The way that you're testing, the way that you are systematic way of competing against Google, the use of the tools, and not just using the tools, but also sort of the granular approach to using the tools. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very very important, and also the fact that there is a way to beat there's a way to beat the big boys, obviously within reason, and that in of itself is exciting. For myself, I want to start approaching more so like professional clients, so I know that with this approach, with this new knowledge, I'll be able to confidently approach them. And I think one of the most amusing things I found was that when you pose the question, if you ask a client, how does your existing SEO, what evidence can they provide for the decisions they take, right?
Right.
And or to put it a better way, Josh, what's the SEO tactic which always works, which is always overlooked? That was it. That question.
Right. Yeah.
Evidence.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a classic sales line, because you could be in a networking group or anywhere, and you can just put that to a group of people, and they
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, that's right."
Yeah. Well, not always. I find that actually it's interesting. There's a lot of people from the UK in my group, and I think it's because you guys might be educated to science a bit more than maybe some other people in other parts of the world. That could be a generalization in my respect, but I do notice. In fact, there's like three of you who are like 20 minutes from each other, and I
Oh,
thought
really?
that was kind of weird. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Ernie, a couple of guys. I'm not sure. Ernie and a few other guys are really close together. So I thought, well, if we ever have a conference, then maybe I'll pick the UK and somewhere close to you guys, and that way you guys don't have to travel very far. Maybe that's what we'll do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in I live in a place called Watford in Hertfordshire, which is about 25 miles from London.
Yeah, you have to talk to Ernie on the group. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
so I'll find out where those other guys are.
okay, so like I said, I want to do in this workshop. I just want to answer some questions. Any kind of SEO questions you guys have?
Yeah, I've got
Anything
one.
you want to know? I just want to make a little bit of an update. It's too soon to make a big update, so I'm just going to give you a little teaser. Is that there's been a major development in the science SEO industry, and Kyle's test group has put out a major experimental results that kind of contradict some of ours, and so this is super exciting. This is not a problem. This is a good thing, right? If Kyle can ever prove me wrong, I love that, and we should love that because we're just going to get better, bouncing our experiments off of Kyle's team and Kyle's teams off of our team. That's how science works, right? Of course, in the real world, Einstein will put something out, and then Oppenheimer will be like, "No, it works like this." Like that's not to compare myself with Einstein, but you know what I mean. Like a group of testers will put something out, and another group will be like, "Actually, it's this." And so our knowledge is just going to get better. And so I'll talk about it more on the test meeting tomorrow. But it's really interesting, and it has to do with internal links. And maybe silos aren't dead. I think they are. I think I see a mistake in Kyle's experiment, and I think I know what he did wrong. But I'm not going to say anything more. I'm just going to. We have to retest it. We're going to retest it, and I'm not going to say anything until the tests are done because I don't want to. I don't want to open my mouth and be too extreme and be like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah, and then be. I mean, I'm going to be wrong all the time, right? The tests are going to change. Maybe Google's changed. Who knows? But we got to retest it. But so something very interesting going on. But anyway, right now I want to make it all about you guys. I want to answer your questions. I want to answer your questions. I want to answer your SEO questions. So I see Yashar has already got an SEO question for me here in the YouTube, and he asks, what should be done on pages that are on spots like 4 to 6? That's a great question. That's a super, 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 super good question. He says speed, CTR, conversions, social traffic, and backlinks. What changes should be made and which ones shouldn't? That's as always. Yasar is a smart guy, and he's thinking the smart way about SEO, and he's totally right because risk mitigation is super important when it comes to SEO. When you're already ranking on page one, you got to be really careful about what you do because it's like you're walking on a razor wire, right? You don't want to fall off, right? So yeah, you can never go wrong. This is what you can never go wrong fixing, no matter what. You can never go wrong improving time to first byte, first paint, and total paint time. Those three speed metrics are the most important: time to first byte, and then first paint, and then when the DOM is actually usable. Those three metrics. Sorry, I got the first one wrong. It's actually time to first byte, first paint, and then when the DOM is usable, whether it's finished painting or not, doesn't matter. As long as the DOM is usable and you're like lazy loading images down below and whatnot, that's fine. As long as they can scroll and start using the page. Those are the three speed metrics that are super important. To test for those, use webpagetest.org, webpagetest.org, and it'll give you a breakdown of all those different things. And then you can also use the internal Chrome system. I think it's called Lighthouse. On Mac, I think you do Option Command I to get access to that command interface, that code interface. And there's a speed test in there. There's a Lighthouse test in there. That's the one that Google actually talks about using, that and webpagetest.org. So those are the two I would use, and I would take those recommendations very seriously about time to first byte, first paint, and then when the DOM is usable. Those are the first ones. It's those first ones that are super important. And it's reducing the JS and CSS in there that's super important because you can cache it. You can get a couple seconds out of it maybe. But if you don't want to be loading 10 CSS and JS files when you're only using 10% of that code in there, right? Because every template is like copied from every template, and every designer copies from his last or her last project and has a bunch of CSS and JS in there that are totally not required. But Google still has to read it and process it and think about it. And browsers still have to do that before they render it. So that's where you're going to get your biggest speed time. Better server, better SSL certificate for time to first byte, maybe a Google CDN, Amazon CDN. Look at Liquid Web. A lot of people have had good results with Kinsta. I can't tell you exactly where to go because it depends on what technology you have, and it depends on where in the world you are. But those are some ones people have used: Liquid Web, Google CDN, Amazon CDN, using Namecheap for the SSL. Let's Encrypt. That's been fast for some people. I just used another one which was super fast for one of my sites. I'll have to ask my server guy again what that was exactly, but it was loading in like 0.1 milliseconds. So I was like, okay, that's great for SSL. So if you're having trouble with SSL and Namecheap didn't work for you, and then ask me again, and I'll find out exactly what that is for you, and see if it's pre-installed on your server. And then so time to first byte test, and then get rid of this fonts. Stop using Google fonts. I know they look pretty, and I know designers are like, oh, I don't want to use Arial and Helvetica, but I'm sure there's an OS font that's on Mac and Windows and on most of cell phones that's common to all of them. I'm sure you can find a font, just not Comic Sans, but I'm sure you could find a font that's going to work for all those, and it's going to look just fine. And even if you load the font afterwards, so you lazy load it to load it afterwards, and then the fonts all change, that's fine. But you got to start off with an OS font, with an operating system font that everybody has, and so it loads way faster. It's getting it loading super fast. That's what you want to do. Okay, somebody asked me a question here in the chat. Anybody comment on the live stream while mobile? Each time I pop back here, my video stops. No problem, Connor. I have the Skype up, so just go ahead and ask questions in the Skype too. So I can see questions right now in the Google Hangout. I can see them in the YouTube stream, and I can see them in our Skype group. So go ahead and ask questions there as well. Just keep in mind, I opened this up to the white hat versus black hat people just for a little treat for those guys. So I don't know if I want to get too much into too much of the experience we did, but I do want to answer your questions, and I will answer honestly, of course. And so if you put my boots to the fire, I will tell you some test results. So speed is one thing that you can't ever go wrong fixing. Every quarter second counts. Every quarter second counts. The other thing is, Yashar is totally right again. CTR and conversions. The other thing that everybody underestimates, even though I scream at you guys all day about this, and I apologize for screaming. I know I must be getting annoying, but I know I scream at you guys every day about this, but people keep missing it, is quality, is user clicks. The other thing you can never go wrong fixing, and is always a ranking factor and will be a ranking factor for the rest of our days. It will be the major ranking factor the rest of our days. It's user clicks. It's improving your micro and macro conversions. It's making the users like your page. I don't mean like in terms of like it on Facebook, although that would help too. But I mean, just they like what they find, right? They start doing positive user signals. They start using it. They start highlighting sentences. They start clicking on words. They like the answer. They got the answer they want. And what they don't do is they don't bounce around your site kind of aimlessly looking around. That's a bad signal for Google. We tested. But the even worse signal, the worst possible signal, is they do not bounce back to Google and select another result. I know it's hard to do this. You got to install Crazy Egg. You got to install Hotjar. You got to watch some recordings of what they do. You got to watch the heat map and see where they're clicking and what they're doing. And this is super, super, super important. And it can never go wrong to fix that. It will never, ever, ever go wrong to fix that. Speed will never go wrong to fix that. You don't even have to get an audit for me. You don't have to get an audit for me. You don't have to do an audit yourself. If in doubt and you don't know what to do, make the speed faster, the time to first byte, the first paint, or the first DOM usable. Get that down by each of those down by a quarter second every time you try. You might have to change your design. You're gonna have to uninstall plugins. You might have to change your design. You have to get rid of some JS and get rid of some CSS. You're gonna have to find yourself a server programmer and a web designer who's really good at what they do, because most of them they have designed. Okay, so this is going to be kind of mean to web designers and web developers, but I've worked in 20 years in this space and I know them very well. And so let me put it this way. There's three groups. One group who barely know what they're doing. They have no design talent and they just can use WordPress templates. Those are not the kind of guys you want to work with. The second group are guys and gals who have really good design talent. They're beautiful artists, but they don't really understand the code very well. And so they can design something from scratch. That's great. But they don't really understand the code and they don't really understand how it all works. And they just kind of use templates and modify them as they go. They might be really good at Photoshop, but they're not so good, or InDesign or whatever it is. But they're not so good at the code part. And the third group is people. So if that's your web designer, that's fine. But then you need to add a third person who understands the JS and CSS and can look in the CSS and JS code and say, oh, we don't need that. We don't need this function. We don't need this. They're not using this. And they can delete parts that don't need to be there. And they can streamline the code and make the code fast. That's somebody you really need to work with if you really want to improve your speed. And so you got to think of your business, even if you're just doing a dinky little affiliate page, you got to think of your business like you're trying to replicate Amazon. Because in a way you are. You're trying to beat Amazon in a lot of SERPs, right? Or somebody big like that. And so you gotta find someone on Upwork. You gotta partner with someone local, even if it costs you a little bit more money, who's a good server person and a good designer who has beautiful design talent. Find these people, partner with these people, pay them what they're worth, even if it's a little bit more pricey. If you start shaving off the seconds on your speed, you will see the SEO benefit. And then improving. The other thing is like user clicks. Someone on your team, either you or somebody else on your team, has to understand user clicks. You have to understand how to make them convert, how to sell better. And it's an art. It's a science as much as an art. And that, again, is a really hard thing to do. You really got to make sure that you have that down pat. I've done videos on this. Just check the courses folder, check the quickies folder. I've done courses on this. I could try and do more in the future because it is super important. And I see people talking in both Skype groups about, what should I do now? Add links? And I'm like, no, fix the speed and user quality. You don't even have to talk to me. You don't even have to ask me, to do an audit of your site. You don't even have to do an audit yourself. You can never go wrong in fixing the speed and in fixing the micro and macro conversions. So if you're on a blog page, for example, what's the conversion there? Well, the conversion for a blog page is ostensibly they click somewhere else on your site to make a purchase. That's the primary conversion. The secondary conversion would be, okay, they didn't click somewhere else on your site to make a purchase. So now you're educating the world for free, but maybe you've made a good enough impression on them that your Facebook retargeting is going to nail them and they're going to come back. Or you have cookie retargeting so that when they come back, they get 10% off offer or something like that. That's what you're hoping for in that scenario, in a blog scenario. And so what is a blog conversion in that scenario? A blog conversion in that scenario is answering their question fastest, sexiest, best. I repeat, in a blog scenario where they're not clicking to the rest of your site, that's the primary conversion. But a secondary conversion would be, at the very least, informing them properly, answering their question or giving them the information they wanted, fastest, sexiest, and best. And so you got to watch, even for those pages, you got to watch Hotjar, you got to watch Crazy Egg and see, okay, where are they going? Where are their eyes going? Are they clicking on the answer? Are they finding the answer? They wanted to know the top 5 red apples. Did I show them the top 5 red apples above the fold, super fast, super sexy, so they could understand it? Or did they have to scroll down past 20 ads and then read through some stupid paragraph and pick out the answer? That is not the way to do it. The best way to do it is to put it above the fold, to make it a bulleted list, to make it easy to find the answer they want so that they don't bounce back to Google and click some other result, because that'd be the worst possible thing that could happen. And then in that scenario, in the blog scenario, you would need to get your Facebook one pixel retargeting going so that they get that retargeting ad when they on some other site and it says, hey, and it has your brand. Like I'll use Maeve's brand as an example. They see Baba Me and they're like, oh, I was looking at wooden toys on that site. Oh, okay, maybe I should go back there and maybe buy something. Retargeting works, guys, and you should all be doing your Facebook ads. You should all be doing retargeting. I'm still answering Yashar's question from the very top of the show. Sorry. So the other thing you can do here is, yes, social traffic would not hurt either, but it's not as good as the first two. And let me tell you why. Because you could send all the Facebook traffic to your pages in the world, but if you have not improved the speed and if you don't have good conversions, then you're a little bit wasting your money. It's not time for Facebook traffic yet. And it's not time for the retargeting pixel yet either, because again, you're not converting. So like I use the metaphor, and I apologize to everyone who are here who is not a UFC fan or a sports fan in general for using a sports metaphor. I can use a more general metaphor, but conversions are like your cardio. You can be the best puncher and kicker in the world. You could be as good as Conor McGregor on your feet, and you can be as good as Khabib on the ground. But if you have no cardio, you're not going to win any fights. And it's the same thing about SEO. If you don't have the speed and the conversions, that's your cardio, and you're not going to win any fights. You'll get up to a main ticket show. You'll get up to page 1, but they're going to punch you right out because you can't last there. You can't compete with those people. They got way better cardio. So that speed is where you can really make huge advancements and never go wrong. Improving your conversions where you can make huge advancements, never go wrong. Then you can do an audit. Then you can send social traffic at it, and then you should do that and also put your Facebook retargeting one pixel in there. Ask Melissa how to do it on the in our mentorship group. She will tell you. For those of you in White Hat versus Black Hat who didn't know, we also have Facebook ad person guru in the group as well. Melissa, who happens to be my wife, but she's very good at Facebook ads. Trust me, it's not nepotism. I just didn't put her in there because she was bored. She has plenty to do, but she's very good at Facebook ads, and she's been helping out so far. And so we have both those resources in the group. And the ones that you shouldn't do, to answer Yashar's wonderful question, that was a beautiful question to start. What you shouldn't do is you shouldn't listen to anybody else who doesn't do scientific testing. You shouldn't go do the SEO trick of the week. At least not make sure you run it by us first. And you really shouldn't even be thinking about it. You should be thinking, what have we tested? And then do everything in our test group, not what has other people said worked. And don't listen to their new SEO move of the week. Look at our new SEO move of the week, because our SEO moves of the week are better, right? We've tested them at the very least at a higher level. What you shouldn't do is start throwing links at it, because that may or may not help. I mean, if you got your backlinking down pat and you know my method of backlinking, and if you don't, ask in the group, I will explain it to you again. But if you got our backlinking down pat, then you can pretty much link at will, and it'll be fine. Because yeah, more link juice helps. I've seen enough testing in links, even in this post April 16th, even in this new era where we're in Google making updates every week. Linking helps. So I mean, it's like, but it's not. It's more risky to do it. So again, like that's not the best thing to do. I mean, Yashar really in his question here put it in order: speed first, CTR, conversions, and then when that's done, I would audit to see what you need the most and see what kind of links you need, because not all links are created equal. There's different kinds of links, and you might need different kinds of links that cost different kinds of money. You might need one newspaper link that would do the trick for you versus, oh, maybe you should do some press releases. Probably not, but we're still testing that. Or maybe you should do some blog links, some lower quality blog links. It really depends on what you need and what you're trying to compete with. Okay, so that's a good way to answer that question. Let's see. I've got a question from Desmond here in the chat. He asks, what's the best way to price SEO services? So that's a great question, Desmond. Two things. One, what you want. Well, it's a Venn diagram between all these things I'm about to say. What you need for your life versus your perceived worth versus how much they're willing to pay versus what kind of annoying client do you want to deal with. Those off the top of my head are the 4 factors you need to contend with. How much you need for your life versus what's your perceived worth versus what do they want to pay versus how annoying of a customer are they. So that will kind of guide you as to where you should be pricing yourself. Pursuant to this is the whole notion of differentiation, brand differentiation. So you might be in a Facebook group where there's a bunch of low guys who are going to charge only $100 to $500 a month, and you're like, yeah, I'm the big dog here. I charge $1,000 to $2,000. If you want to do those low projects, go over there. It depends on your life and what your perceived worth is and how much hustle you got. When I started out, my audits were only $500 for an audit. When I started out at back consulting and doing this kind of like open consulting thing and not just working for a bunch of big customers kind of in-house as like a kind of a contractor. And that was around Penguin Panda days, like 2011 or so. And I was only charging $500. But then, I was doing, my knowledge was increasing. I was doing way more. I charged $744. Then I charged $1,000. Now I'm charging $1,444. And if people aren't going to pay that, I might give them a bit of a break, whatever. But pretty much that's my price. And I have more clients than I know what to do with. But, it also has to do with your brand and your perceived worth, right? So I can't, it's really hard to answer that question for you. All I can give you is that formula. I hope that formula helped. But, you need to differentiate yourself as well. So it depends on, again, how much you need, what's your perceived worth, how much are they willing to pay, how much of an annoying customer do you want? Keep in mind that, remember Clint from the show, he disappeared because he got this $30,000 a month client. He's basically working for that guy now. So you better like him because you basically signed up for a job. You signed up to have a boss. A nice boss is paying you $30,000 a month. That's $360,000 a year. That's a nice amount of money. That's nothing to sneeze at, of course. But do you want to talk with that guy on the phone every day? And do you want to have a Skype meeting with him every day and have to talk to his developer and sit there like it's like an in-house meeting? I don't know. If you like that, that's great. If you like that kind of security, because that could be very secure. You can sign a 1-year contract with that guy, and then presumably, depending on the termination clause, you got this money for a year. That could be what you want, right? That's why there's plenty of reasons why people are entrepreneurs. Like you have a giant ego like I do, and you can't stand being told what to do like I do. So you can't work for anybody. I have to be my own boss. I can't work for anybody. I'm too much of a jerk. Or it's like, but I really love the security of having a job, and I knew I had a paycheck every 2 Fridays, every second Friday I knew I had this paycheck, and it's like, okay, I go to work and half the day I could just watch movies and pretend I'm working. It depends but I be super depressed and be bored out of your mind. So it's like, it's up to you. What do you want? Okay. Colton says, yeah. So yeah, I do have some information about internal linking that's coming up. Kyle did a test that kind of contradicted one of our tests, but he didn't do a single variable test. And so we're going to do single variable tests, and we're going to see out what's going on. Okay, a question here from the mentorship group. If you have a transactional website, should you avoid using related informational phrases on the page? I've seen it work well as it covers the whole topic, but are you confusing RankBrain as the intent of the website or that web page? Specifically, I typically use an H4 and a short paragraph at the bottom of the page with informational phrase. Dan, that's a super good question. I mean, that's like a nuts and bolts, deep SEO nerd question. So What he's talking about there is a transactional website is at the laser edge, the very bottom V of both the sales and the search funnel. For those of you who are not familiar, the sales and search funnel, I can draw it here, actually. I should get my whiteboard out. Uh-oh, he's getting a whiteboard out. He loves to draw like he's still teaching university courses. I apologize, yes, but I want to share the whiteboard here. Okay, we'll do that. I don't think I have anything embarrassing on my screen right now. Okay, so here's the sales funnel. And it's the same as the information funnel, the search funnel. So in here, we've got info queries. Still looking for information. Like example, what is XYZ? They don't even know what it is. They have no idea. Now the next one is no do, and I'm using Google's terminology. No do, or the example is best XYZ. Now they know, they want to know a little bit more. They know what XYZ is. Now they want to know what the best XYZ is for us UK heritage. For the Commonwealth people here, XYZ, they don't want to know the best one. Their credit card is close to their hand, but not in hand yet. And finally, do, which is like they want to go to they want to buy XYZ. They want to verb something. I don't know why and then there's actually a last one here, and these are the transactional ones he's talking about. Transactional. These are also called transactional. These are also called informational. Same deal. You guys can see my screen here, right? Yeah, good. Okay. And then there's a last one here just for Google, and this one's navigational. And we've all done it. It's when we type in an actual website, like they want to go to buyxyz.com. They've read about buyxyz.com, in this stage here, and then they've hopped over. Sometimes they can hop over down to this stage and surpass that stage, or they can go to this stage and surpass that stage and go right to buyxyz.com. So I hope that makes sense. So what Dan is asking, on transactional pages that are supposed to be mostly transactional here, does it screw up tank brain if you use informational phrases as well? And the answer is no, not really. I mean, if you want to rank for buy XYZ and get people who are searching for buy XYZ to buy XYZ on your pages, yeah, you mostly have to talk about transactional, but you can say a couple informational things. And what it's going to do, this is the entire, let's say this is a representation of the entire, all the words you would possibly rank for. The more you do informational, the bigger bite it's going to take of these words out of transactional words. This is your ranking cluster of pages. The keyword families you will rank for out of your ranking cluster of pages. That's what this represents, this graphic. And so, like I said, this is in Search Console. This is all the words you're going to rank for. The more you use informational words, the more it's going to cut into the transactional words of what you're trying to rank for, theoretically, in that kind of an example. So I hope that makes sense, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to make such a huge difference. Okay, so I got that. I get this. Okay, so Maeve asks, and it's not a super dumb question at all, Maeve. You can ask any question you want. She asks, what is a silo? So generally in SEO, when people are talking about silos, sometimes they mean different things. What is a silo? Usually they mean there's a internal page, and then there's some kind of cluster of internal pages that all link up internally to this page here. And sometimes they interlink, sometimes they don't. Sometimes there's just one of them, one small page, sometimes there's not. But this is all internal to your site. This is all, whoops. This is all internal to your site here. And this here is referred to as the silo. This here is referred to the silo or the orphan child pages. Usually. It could be one of them, it could be a bunch of them, and they all link up internally to some kind of money page, usually. And this is all internal. This is all internal, usually. Although sometimes guys talk about silos that are external as well. Sometimes there's like a backlink ranking page, and that's an external page, and it links external, pointing at this page, and it links up. Sometimes they talk about that as a silo as well. So what we tested in our testing was that, do these internal links right here, this is exactly what we tested. We tested, do these internal links right here ignore this scenario? We tested this as well. We tested, do these internal links alone, do they provide any value? And we built over 100 of them, and we could not provide any value to a ranking page. But Kyle did this experiment recently, and he did get a page to rank higher. But he didn't do a single variable test. We did a single variable test. He did not. So we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. And I think I know the reason why he got a page to rank higher, and it's already an experiment I already did. And if I'm right, I'm not sure I'm right. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and Kyle could have always been onto something, and silos do work, and I was wrong the whole time. But I don't think I am. But I'm more than ready to say I'm wrong when I'm wrong. So right now, my official recommendation, based on all of our testing, is that these internal links seems to provide, based on our testing, and we've tested quite a bit, no inherent value so far. You will see tomorrow, we will do a test to see if that is the case. So yeah, you can route external link juice through them, and that'll boost this page. That's not a problem. We tested that too. That works. But without this external link, this silo is useless, and it would have been always better if this external link was pointing at the money page. Anyway, you get more juice out of it. But we'll test. We'll see tomorrow if I've missed something, and maybe there is some way to do it that makes it work. Okay, let's go this. Let's go this. Go this, and then let's go this. Okay. So that was May's question. And she asked, is it a silo if the money page links back down? Yeah, it can be. I mean, again, there's no hard and fast rules for this. You can link back down from your money page. You can do that if you want. That's not a problem. And you could call that a silo if you want to. You can call anything a silo. That's kind of the problem. Okay, Yashar asks, at any time you guys want to pipe in the Hangout here, by all means, go ahead. Desmond, if you want to ask, or Maeve, if you want to ask a question on the mic. Does select in Google My Business, does selecting I provide service help on general ranking in cities rather than area? I'm creating a local service website and I'm shooting for city rankings. That one you're going to have to ask Jordan. That's a specific local question that I wouldn't know off the top of my head. I presume it would help. That would be my best guess. But the ground's shaking. I think I have an earthquake. It's only a minor one. Or a big truck's driving by, one or the other. So you have to ask, sorry, Yashar, you're going to have to ask Jordan that one. Connor asks, on mobile, click the options button, set YouTube to desktop. Yeah, now you've got the chat. Good thing. Bob asks, and Bob's also in the chat here, did you want to ask via mic, Bob, or did you want me just to read this question out for you? If you have a microphone. Okay, I presume you want me to read it out. So it's just a note on time to first byte with CDN. I observed on my setup, I implement vanilla Cloudflare initially, but found better performance turning it off. This is just my experience, but I only found it by testing. Yeah. So, I mean, on everyone's setup, you're going to have a bunch of weird options. Speed was always kind of important, but has never been as important to ranking as it is now. And so I noticed that a lot of hosting companies are starting to get better, but Some hosting companies still have a bunch of stupid options installed because they're like, what to do? So the page takes 3 seconds to load. That's okay. Well, no, it's not okay. And Google is now going to nail you for it. Excuse me, I have a bit of cold. Yashar asks, is it logical to plan passing by a brand's website on brand-related queries? For example, brand name equals Adidas, query equals Adidas running shoes. That's a good question. Is it logical to think you're going to beat Adidas on the search query, Adidas running shoes? No, no, it's probably not logical to think that. You could take a bite out of Adidas running shoes, but I strongly doubt you could get the whole thing. It's possible, but only if Adidas has hired the worst SEO in the world who's not paying any attention, and they're just doing yesterday's SEO, and you get better conversions than they do. If you get better on page and better conversions that they do, then you can do it, but that'd be really hard because that means users would have to click you more or just as much than they click the adidas.com website, and that would be super hard to do. But it is a great ranking tactic that I've used, and I've seen a lot of people use to good effect, that you don't have to beat Adidas at their own game. You just have to hang with them, so to speak. You just have to get a page up there, and just the millions of people searching Adidas running shoes every month, just statistically, some are going to click on you if you have an interesting looking SERP, an interesting looking snippet on the SERP, and you can siphon off that traffic and you can make sales that way. It works. And you know what? Not a lot of people often go for this tactic. And so sometimes the competition is ridiculously easy. Like I have a site where usually people in the United States, there's a place here called GNC. GNC in the US is like kind of like a herbal supplement, kind of like a supplement store. I believe they're a national brand. Some in the US, correct me if I'm wrong. And so what we did is we made a website that siphoned off GNC traffic, because there's a lot of people searching, like Red Apple's GNC, Diet Pills GNC, this thing GNC, that product GNC. There's tons of traffic for it, and it's super easy to rank for because no one's trying to go for it because everyone's trying to go for GNC. But we do get clicks off it. And so they don't convert super high, but you can do it, and it's super easy to do. You make 10,000, products that are like whatever GNC, and you have hardly any competition at all. If you use Ted's ability to crank out pages in Core 4 and do it, you might be able to do that super, super easy and have no competition and not have to buy any links at all and still be ranking page 1. And that's another way, even if you don't want to, sell affiliate stuff or do anything like that, it's still really impressive to the layperson if you're like, yeah, well, look, I got this site ranking page 1. Look at all the traffic I got. I did it in a week. Just think what I could do with your website. Just think you could do stuff like that, right? That's another way of bragging about what you can do and how you can do it. Okay, Colton asks, are there any scientific results for post frequency or consistency of new posts helping overall SEO? i.e. a site that posts 20 times new quality content a month versus the same quality posting only 5 times? Yes. So there is in the field, I haven't tested this single variable, but there is in the field testing that we've done. And the more you post, as long as your quality is good, the more Google will come back and come to your site. The problem is if your quality is not good. So if you have the authority and the quality, so if you have the page rank and the quality, Google will come back and spider your page and will rank you pretty highly already. Whenever you make a new page, if it ranks like at page 3, 2, or 1, your quality is pretty good at that point, or probably pretty good. If you make a new page and Google doesn't rank it at all, or you pop a page and it pops up but then it falls down, I guarantee you have a quality problem. I guarantee you have not yet acquired a positive quality score. Pay very close attention to the words I just said. I guarantee that you have not yet acquired a positive quality score. and you acquire a positive quality score by traffic doing positive quality signals on your site to give you a certain score. So that means your site's new, or it's been around forever. You just have yet to acquire a positive quality score. That's one of the subtle things you can watch out for to see if you have quality. If you can't get review stars, bad quality. If you can't get a featured snippet or it's taken away, bad quality. If you post if you pop a page and it goes up really highly, then it falls, bad quality. If you pop a page, or if you post a new page and it doesn't rank very high or ranks highly for like a day and then falls, bad quality. If Google barely comes back and crawls your site, bad quality. Those are all bad quality signs. Do not underestimate quality. Please don't make me yell in the group anymore. Please, speed and quality need to be your two main priorities. And then everything else kind of follows from that. Keywords is a very close third. But don't be adjusting your keywords if you're already on page one. Because unless you're like seriously, you know your keywords are seriously terrible compared to everybody else. Desmond asks in the chat, would you use Google Ads quality score as a guide? That's a great question, Desmond. So yes, Google AdWords has had a quality score for years, and I've been trying to use that as kind of a guide, but it doesn't seem to really work as a guide. If you read the 2012 Panda patent, and if there's a bunch of other quality patents they put out, they give you a sense of how it works, but we've tested it in single variable experiments. So I know what the quality is. I know it's traffic. I know it's user positive signals. And I know it's that might work better for local than it does for global. But I know what works. What does not work for all of them is the bad signals, which is pogo sticking around the site, and then even worse, bouncing back to Google. Those are the worst signals possible. Okay, Connor asks, in Keyword Planner, hold on, I will make sure I want to. Okay, in Keyword Planner, I see we can now look at organic impression share. I don't understand why this metric always seems so low. Even the terms I get tons of clicks on and rank 1 to 3 for never seem to show more than 50% impression share. Is there something funky with Google's measurement making it show so low? Try to say that 5 times fast. Show so low, show so low. It sounds almost like Mandarin almost. Or Cantonese maybe. The answer is I have no idea. You have to take all these measurement tools with a grain of salt. All are going to be slightly different. Google cooks the books. Google cooks their numbers they present to you in Search Console, in AdWords. It's just a rough estimate. And SEMrush, all a rough estimate. Don't get too bent out of shape if Search Console and analytics don't add up. Just look at the different numbers and try and make them all as high as possible. So Connor asks, sticky headers have become very popular on sites. It potentially can hurt the conversion further down the page while not affecting SEO. What are your thoughts on sticky header usage? I'm not entirely sure I know what you mean by sticky headers. Can you give me an example? Maybe paste an example in the Skype, because you probably can't post it in the YouTube chat. You might be able to. I might see it and have to approve it because you put a URL in it. But Connor, try and give me an example of a sticky header. I guess you just mean like a header that stays there the whole time. I don't know why, if that's what you mean, I don't know why you say it can hurt the conversion down the page. I like using sticky elements on a page. On mobile, I'll often, he says top navigation of a page stays visible as you scroll down the page. Yeah, that kind of a sticky element, either on the top, the side, or the bottom, depending on if you're on desktop or mobile. I like using those. And in the field, I get really good results with them. I've never tested them in single variable testing to see if they're a problem. I can. That'd be an easy test to do. But yeah, I've never seen a problem with those. Connor says, hurts conversions as users navigate off the page before reaching footer. Again, I'm not sure about that, Connor. I've never seen that. If you've seen that, fair enough, but I've never seen that. I don't know that that's a problem. I like using sticky elements, especially for the call to action button. So that's always in front of their face. On mobile, it's always at the bottom. On desktop, it's always floating on the right-hand side. Get a free offer, get the offer, click here, call now, something like that. So as soon as they feel enough positive value, they succumb to the call to action and they do the action you want them to do. I've used that to very great effect in the past. I was able to get a website's conversions up to 60 to 70% because they wanted a free offer, and I said, "Here's a free offer," and I gave them a before and after and a floaty call to action button, and 60 to 70% of them would click it without hesitation because they wanted it. And I said, "Here you go, take it, click it," and it was always in front of their eyes and everywhere on the screen. As soon as they felt positive enough, they clicked it. So that was desktop. So the problem is that scrolling around your page, they get lost, and scrolling around your page, reading, they might get annoyed, and you might have just for a fleeting moment got them feeling positive enough to say yes, and the yes button wasn't there in front of their face before they scrolled again and thought, I don't know. I hate to admit it, but Freud was largely right, and you got to kind of pursue sales like Freud was right. Freud said in his book Civilization and Its Discontent that humans are irrational, emotional animals, and 90%, the vast majority of humans, the vast majority of the time, make completely emotional decisions, even when they think they're being rational. And I hate that that's true because it makes me feel very bad for the future of the human race, basically. But when it comes to sales, he's basically correct. There are some reasonable, rational things you have to convince them of, but at the end of the day, any good salesperson is going to tell you it's all about emotions. And so if they're vacillating between feeling positive enough in general when contemplating your offer versus feeling negative enough in general, and other things can make them feel negative. Their kids screaming at them, their favorite team is losing as they're scrolling on their phone. It's not always the stuff on your page. That's why your page has to be even better at selling, because you got to get their attention away from everything else, and you got to make them feel positive no matter what else is happening in their life right now, right? That's how well you need to sell. And so I don't want to risk it that the instant they read a positive sales value proposition on my page, that they felt positive enough to buy at that moment, but then the kid started crying, or then they had to scroll again, and literally the effort of them having to scroll made them feel bad enough that they didn't want to buy anymore. That happens to me all the time. I get annoyed. I'm like, where's that stupid call to action button? I can't find it. Oh, fuck this. And I leave. Like, that happens to me all the time. It probably happens to people all the time. So you got to remember Freud. You got to remember your Freud when you're doing your sales, that people are very emotional, and they make most of their buying decisions are sadly emotional buying decisions. And people selling houses know this. People selling cars know this. Everybody who sells know this. That emotion is a huge part of the equation, if not the biggest part, if not the only part. Some will go so far as to say it's the only part. I don't take that strict as Freudian a line, because it makes me want to vomit if it's true. and two, I don't think it's actually true. Some people are very rational, and some people make very rational decisions. You have to know your audience. But most people, most of the time, it's an emotional decision. They have to feel positive about it. They have to predict it's positive and usually feel positive about it to overcome the fear and the doubt, especially of buying online and clicking something. So you need to alleviate the fear and the doubt, and you need to make them feel positive about it. And one mechanical way of helping with that is having a sticky element that floats with them all the time, that either is the sale button or a pre-sale, like a chat button, that they can be like, okay, they can always click it. Whatever is the next conversion they need to make is what you need to sell. That's another very good point that I hope everyone's getting. Whatever the next conversion in the chain of conversions is you need to make them make, you need to sell them on that. So if it's they need to talk with a chat person next, for example. So let me see if I can find a good example here. Let me see if I can get into Crazy Egg. If I can get into Crazy Egg here and put in my super secret password. Most of you probably already know. If any of my students want to use my Crazy Egg, just ask me. You can put websites in here. It's not a problem. Okay, Crazy Egg, come on, let's go. Sometimes Crazy Egg takes a long time to load here. Okay, so let me see. Let me see if the new snapshot will work. Oh, no, I don't want to create one. I want to look at them. There we go. Okay, I got all kind of snapshots in here. Let's see. The mentorship club had 1,100. Let's see. This is my new page for the mentorship club. So this is the kind of signs you want to see. You want to see them tapping and clicking all over the place because that means they're interested. You want to see more clicks than visits. I have 111 visits and 185 clicks. That's what you want to see. That's definitely a good sign. You want to see them going around and see they're clicking quickies. They're clicking. You see the information that is interesting to them because they click it, right? This is on a page that's doing really well. No more scientific guaranteed. Will only cost this. The benefits. You see all that kind of stuff. And look, they're clicking on this. I didn't tell them to click this. The people are clicking this, right? So they're seeing, okay, normally that's getting my sales value propositions. The only thing I didn't do on this is I don't have a floating element. Yeah, maybe you could use my crazy egg, that's fine. I think I have plenty of room. So if any of my students want to use my crazy egg, just let me know. I'll give you my password. We'll just have to put up with a lot of snapshots in there. And again, please don't go looking at any of my clients and start sharing the crap, but I will do the same for you. But if you want to save some money, by all means, you could use my crazy egg. I think I have enough room in it. That's for any of my mentorship students. So that's another reason to join the mentorship program is my SEMrush, my Ahrefs. You guys could all use it, right? You can save money. The only thing I can't let you use is my Quora, but we do have free Quora licenses that expire, and we also have the biggest discount for Quora. We have 30% off. So you see, this is what you see on a page they like, and you can see what sales value propositions they do like. And you see, they're like, ooh, they like this. They click on this to see this. They're like, ooh, what's this? Hundreds of pages. They like that. They like this. They're like, ooh, they really like that. Look, they clicked where the arrow points. You see that? This is what human beings do. They see eyes pointing somewhere or they see arrows pointing somewhere. They look there. It's like it's better than a dog because you point at a treat for a dog and the dog looks at your finger. It doesn't understand you're pointing at something. Human beings understand the pointing and they look at whatever's. If you point somewhere, they look where you're pointing. If their eyes looks of a model or a picture looks somewhere, they look there. See that? I should have a call to action right here is what I should be doing, right? But I'm doing a long sales letter. And so they get down here to the bottom and then they're like, oh, they get Quora, set it and forget it. They like that. You can devistify Google immediately. They like this deal. Oh, they like Facebook Mastery. Ooh, they like this. Okay, so here it is. This is how much it is. Blah, 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 blah. You get a bunch of signups, and they notice that there's only a few spots left, and there is. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 signups here. Out of the 12 clicks I've got on this, I'd say my conversion rate right now for when I set this up is about 3 or 4 of them. So I'd say 25% conversion rate, which is not too bad. A 20 to 25% conversion rate. I haven't had anyone sign up for yearly, so I don't know why they're clicking this. They're just clicking to see. But I've had 3 or 4 signups since I made this change. All the changes here in this new. So that's about the conversion rate. I'll tell you what my conversion rate is. I'm not hiding anything from you guys. They love this testimonial from SEMrush, which is a major feather in my cap. They like this one from Reese, which is a real one. And what else do they like here? So see how they click what they like? Now, here's another thing that a lot of them are getting down here and getting to the video. In Crazy Egg, you got to take a look here at the scroll map as well to see who's scrolling where. And look at the colors here. And so everybody, a lot of people are seeing these graphs here. They're seeing a lot of people, the vast majority are seeing this now that I've spread it out. What they're not seeing is not as many people are seeing this, so they're scrolling by it really fast anyway. They're scrolling by this, they're scrolling by this. Only 20% of people saw this one. As soon as they saw that much information, they phase out, but that's okay because some people clicked it, remember? So this is for different audiences. Some people are like, yeah, too small to read. Some people are like, wait, what is he ranking for? I want to see what are the niches he's ranking for. These are real niches of an ex-client. 30%. Now, you notice, but there's more. Half see this, less than half see this. 70% are seeing this. So most are seeing the offer. That's good. That's what I want. Only half are seeing the buttons. Less than half are seeing the testimonials. And a bunch of people, it used to be, this was like 70% of people were ending up down here, 90% were ending up down here before. Now it's only 50% of people are ending up down here. So you got to keep looking to see what's going on. Got to keep checking out the percentages. I'm sure I had a reason as to why I was going to go in here and show you guys something. I can't remember what it was, though. I can't for the life of me remember what it was. But anyway, this doesn't have a sticky element. Maybe if I made a sticky element, I would convert more. But the conversions of 25% are pretty good. 20 to 25% are pretty good. But this is what it looks like on a page when they enjoy what they're seeing, when they're interested, when you're getting a good conversion rate. 25% on this in the internet marketing is a good conversion rate. And because I did a long sales letter, I could have a floating thing that could make it better. So anyway, I can't remember what I was trying to answer there, but if you guys remember what I was trying to answer there, let me know. Okay, what other questions do we got here, guys? Please go ahead, ask more questions if you have them. I'll stay on as long as you guys keep asking questions. So, Happy Webmaster asks, is it a good idea to use page builders like Thrive anymore? They slow down sites and add a lot of code. Plain HTML sites can be so much faster. Yeah, I agree, Happy Webmaster. No, I would not use Thrive. I would not use Wix. I would not use anything like that. I would not use free website builder because it's a load of bullshit. I'm sorry. It's kind of like a pipe dream they sell you where you could have a website and make millions of dollars online too. It's not a good idea to base your entire business around something you don't have complete control of. And it's not a good idea to start a business that you don't understand intimately. It's greatly decreasing your chance of failure. If you're going to do a SWOT analysis on your business, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. At the SWOT analysis, if you are going to do a SWOT analysis on your business, which you should, it's a weakness that you don't know HTML, and it's a weakness and it's a threat that you don't know HTML, and it's a threat you don't have control of your hosting environment. These are bad things. And then the question is, what strengths and opportunities do you have? There's the opportunity to make money online, kind of. I mean, everyone and their dog is trying to do it, so the gold rush is over. Sorry, you're competing with a lot of people. So there's not really any opportunities online anymore, any more than there is any other place. I mean, in general, it depends. If you live in a town where the factory shut down and you have no other opportunities, well then yeah, try to make money online or move or whatever. But you know what I mean. It's not like it's the gold rush of the internet anymore. Sorry, you've missed it. You might have some strengths though. Maybe you're really good at making web design, or maybe you know your product really, really well, or maybe there's some more strengths there. So that's good. But anyway, when you're doing your SWOT analysis, it's not a good thing that you don't know how HTML works. And so no, I would not recommend using I would not recommend making a business where you don't intimately understand the majority of it. And that goes for web stuff too. I would not recommend relying on Thrive or Wix or any of these website builders, or even just WordPress. I would not recommend just relying on that and not understanding how web technology works. You can get by with it, and maybe I'm being a little biased. I will admit that. It's I don't like WordPress very much. But still, just understand you have those liabilities, and you really kind of need to really improve your speed in some cases. You really need to have a good web server and a web developer and a good web designer anyway. So you're not really helping yourself just using a WordPress template. It's not good enough. Not as people start designing awesomely converting and awesome, impressive web experiences. That's not going to help you. Okay. Any more questions, guys? I don't see any questions here. Maeve asked, e-commerce, what are your thoughts on categories? One per keyword. Okay. That's a great question, Maeve. So that's a wonderful question that could take me hours to answer. I'll try to give a short, concise answer. So every page has got to be a ranking page. And so your category pages should be no different. When you're doing your SWOT analysis for your business, when you're doing your research, You should see if does Google like to rank category pages for keyword XYZ? Is the question, right? And if they do, then yeah, you might want to make a category page. And this is what I would recommend for the category page. You're going to have your header. I would make the header as small as possible. And then you're going to have an H1, right? Add your keywords and sales words here. You're going to do that. It's going to be up at the top here, whatever. You're going to have a side navigation or whatever you're going to do, that kind of a thing. And then it could look different than this. Then you're going to have some short text, maybe 100 words, and the keyword's going to go in there a couple times because that is also a ranking factor, is keyword in first 100 words. Apparently, as far as we can tell, but very quickly, like in your fold is say right here, you are going to have to get product images in the you have to get product images. These are product images here. You have to get those in the above the fold. If you don't have these above the fold, that's going to be a problem. And then what you do is you do the product images, either all of them or part of them. You don't have to do all of them, but at least some of them. And then lower on the page, the products are going to stop, and then you're going to go back to text. And you're going to have probably, it doesn't have to be, probably going to have an H4 here, more keywords. You're probably going to have something like this, and then you're probably going to have paragraphs, adding in more of your pop stuff that Pop and Cora told you to do. So it'll probably look something like this. This is your category listings. It's got to be above the fold. And if it's more important than, it's more important than keywords. So if you can't have this sentence here, if you can't fit this sentence and these, then you have to get rid of it so that more products show up above the fold, especially on mobile, right? You got to show on a category page, you have to show products above the fold because I guarantee you you're going to have a conversion rate optimization issue. So here's the problem, guys, is that it's keywords versus CRO. And you got to satisfy both. I can't tell you just to do keywords and ignore a CRO. It's both are equally as important. That's part of the ranking loop that Google now does. Google does a ranking loop where it's like you have keywords on the page. Kids. No, keywords, thank you. And Google then has a certain CRO, sees a certain CRO on your page, and then that turns into ranking. This is the cycle, right? They do a search, Google finds keywords on your page, they send traffic there, and they see a CRO, and then you get rankings. They don't see keywords on your page, you're not going to rank for it. They see keywords on your page, but they don't get CRO, you're not going to rank for it. So this is the cycle you need to do. Google needs to see keywords on your page, then it needs to see CRO, and then it will reward you with rankings due to this. There's other stuff involved, of course, but this is kind of the main search cycle right now. This is the kind of the main search ecosystem. Google needs to see keywords on your page. That's going to boost you to a certain extent. Then they're going to send you traffic. You're going to see the CRO. Or you need to prove your CRO if people already have good quality scores. And then you would send Facebook traffic to it. You can boost this with Facebook traffic after CRO, after doing CRO. You can get a kickstart that way. But that's outside the ecosystem. This is the Google kind of, this is the Google kind of ecosystem right now. And you can also do other stuff. Yeah, I mean, tech is just a requirement. Tech and speed needs to be on fleek. That needs to be set. That's just the way it is. Tech and speed needs to be set, and then you can add reviews, schema, links. You can add all this stuff, and you might need to add all this stuff. And you can add that at any time. And you might need to add it at any time, but this is the basic ecosystem. This is the April 16th day it works. This is the New Deal. Those Americans who understand what that means. Well, everyone pretty much understands what it means. So this is post-April 16th. This is the way it works now, guys. Google needs to see keywords on the page to rank you for that because they're ranking via artificial intelligence, right? And the AI, the tank brain is dumb. AI is stupid. It's like, what is the best way for this is the AI talking. What is the best way for me to tell that this page is about red apples? Well, it mentions the phrase red apples a lot and all the synonyms for red apples, like rouge apples or whatever, blood red apples or whatever. Okay, or blood red apple. Okay, fine. It says that the most in some kind of algorithm that we've partly deciphered. Fine. Then it boosts those pages. And then, no CRO though. The users don't like it. Punt it out of the ecosystem. But they get CRO, then you will get ranks. And the only other factor is that tech and speed need to be set, and your Facebook traffic can kickstart your quality score, and you add reviews, schema, and links. So I mean, this is the atom bomb right here. If you're wondering how to rank, that's it right now. I mean, it might change. That's why you need to stay part of the mentorship group. Is this could drastically change anytime. At any time, this could change. Before April 16th, 2018, it did not work. It kind of worked this way, but not so drastically. Keywords were nowhere near as important. So that's the way it's working right now, though. Okay, what other questions do we have? Any other questions, or can I go drink beers? So Maeve asks, lots of categories are okay if they all have keyword and product in. Yeah, they all have to have the keyword. So you definitely need the keyword. Every page is a ranking page. Every page is a ranking page. You need your keyword in it. And it's got to be all over the place in where POP says it needs to be. Mitigated against Cora and mitigated against our single variable experiments. There's a bunch of places that POP and Cora don't check for that we have and that we know are ranking factors, either positive ranking factors or negative ranking factors. I hope from the group you remember what those are. If you don't know what those are, ask the group. If you're not part of my mentorship group, join. Well, I still have seats left because I am going to close it. I'm not going to deal with 1,000 people asking me questions in there. I am going to close it off at some point, and you will not be able to get in. So ask in the group, and remember, Pop and Cora don't have all the ranking spots that we found that were actually surprisingly important and surprisingly powerful. So we can do better than Pop and Cora can do right now. But yeah, you have to have your keywords in there. Every page is a ranking page. Every page needs its keywords. I don't care if it's a category page or a blog page or a sales page. It doesn't matter. The semantic of where they place you in this is totally based off of this and this closing the loop. It's this and this. It's the loop between these two things, keywords and quality. Google tries you for this because you had links and on-page and off-page and on-page semantic that said you had red apples, and the users clicked it and they stopped searching for red apples. That's what closes the ranking loop and gives you ranks. This is the way of thinking of ranking from now on. I can't imagine that this general thing is going to change. I just imagine that details are going to change. Because I strongly doubt that Google is going to decide, you know what, we don't want to use machine learning anymore. We're going to go back to the old way of Google engineers guessing what might help. They're not going to do that, right? So this is the way it's going to work from now on. But the details of the ranking spots and the keywords and the keyword variants and the keyword percentages and the CRO percentages and how to do that, and little extra things like how speed and different stuff like spoken versus non or whatever, That's all going to change in the future. And so there's just going to be variations on this theme. But this is the way it works from now on, guys. This is it. This is the way it's going to work from now on, basically. If you haven't thought of this, if you didn't appreciate this, then you're going to be in probably in some trouble. If you're still thinking of it in terms of links, you're definitely in some trouble. Because links are an adjunct at best. Yes, sometimes a required adjunct. Yes, sometimes a necessary adjunct, but an adjunct at best. This is the primary ranking paradigm from now on. And this is just not me. This is not me just saying so because Josh proclaims it from on high. This is all of my in the field and all of my single variable experiments of my team and SIA's team, our sister team, and Cora, all pointing towards the same thing. Okay, any other questions here for me to answer? So from April 16th, is it more important to probably split out large e-commerce sites into lots of categories, whereas before we had big categories, now split into keywords? It doesn't matter to me. I don't know if it all depends on what that depends on, Maeve, is what Pop tells you to do, because it'll tell you how big the page needs to be versus how fast it loads versus what your users like versus every page needs a keyword and no two pages should overlap. So you need to do your keyword research and you need to find out, okay, people are looking for wooden toys or whatever. They're looking for some kind of wooden toy, some kind of whatever, XYZ wooden toy. And then are they searching also for XYZ wooden toy big, XYZ hidden wooden toy small? You need to do the search in Google. You need to go into Google. And I need to reload my Bright Local here because I had to reboot my computer because my Mac is old and dying. But let's say, so you would search your area. You're for the UK. So it would be like, okay, wooden toys. Okay, so this is the general wooden toys search. So I got to see what else is bold here. Wooden toys, wooden toys, wooden toys, wooden toys. What else do they bold? Apparently there's no synonyms for wooden toys. Wooden toy. There it is. Okay. So that's it. And all of these are not. This is what is not a synonym. The related searches is what is not a synonym. The bold is what is a synonym. What you searched and the bold goes on a single page. What is in the related searches does not go on the same page. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, rewind and listen to it again. And so that's one way when you're doing pop and you're planning your pages, whether you're popping or not. When you're doing your on page, that's how you do it. You do a search for wooden toys, and whatever is bold down here goes on the same page. Whatever shows up in related does not. That's a different page if you're in doubt. And whatever didn't show a bold is not on the same page. Okay, so what if they're also searching for traditional wooden toys? So wooden toys and traditional wooden toys are two different pages. Just as wooden toys for babies is a different page than wooden toys. Or wooden toys for 1-year-olds or for toddlers are all probably different pages. So let's do wooden toys for toddlers. And let's see here what they've bolded. Child. Wooden. Child. Child and toddlers are synonyms. They go on the same page. But this, rattles and mobiles are kinds of toys. And Google knows that kinds of toys are synonyms for toys. They're technically not in terms of English grammar, but in terms of making your page, they are. So in terms of making your page, you got to say rattles and mobiles on your page now to the frequency that Pop and Cora tell you to do so. Child wooden toys, wooden toys, wooden children's toys. There's another synonym you need to have in there. It goes on the same page. But you know what wasn't on this? Was for 1-year-olds. That's a different page. Or I would imagine that's a different page. Now let's do that search to make sure to exclude it, to make sure it doesn't say toddlers a lot. 1-year-old wooden toys, years. Blocks are a kind of toy. 2-in-1 sport. You see how it gets dumb? See, it doesn't know. It's dumb. It doesn't know. The AI is like, I see one. Like, it doesn't know. I don't see them highlighting toddlers here. So Tank Brain is not very bright. It doesn't understand that a 1-year-old is, or I guess a 1-year-old is not a toddler, I guess, but maybe I'm the one. I mean, I'm the dumb one. I don't know. I don't know anything about kids. My wife and I have no kids. We are the cool auntie and uncle. So that's how you do it. You see? So those are all different pages. 1-year-old is a best wooden toys. Okay, so here's the issue now. Should you do a best wooden toys? Well, you have to do your keyword research to see what is forgive the pun, what is the best keyword you want to go for. Yes, if you put best on, if you're trying to rank for wooden toys for 1-year-olds and you put best in your title, you get a boost. But then you're going to compete with everybody else who already has best in their title. Right? Look at this. Best. Best. Everyone already has best in the title. Best. Best. Oh, these guys don't. Okay, you could beat them. Best. 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 You're already competing with most of them. So yeah, adding best as a sentiment, both my test and Kyle's test shows does give a ranking boost, a strong one. But everyone else is already using that keyword semantic. And it's going to shift all of your keyword families. If I put best in my title, it's going to shift all of my keyword families like we were talking about here. Like informational transactional. If I put best in, it's going to start shifting all my keyword families towards best. And that, when I did my keyword research, that might not be the best keyword. It might not be best for you to rank for. That's something you got to keep in mind. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. As soon as I decrease the size of the font, it might have worse competitors. Might have worse competition. Might have higher links. Might have worse sales. It's unlikely. They search for the best XYZ. They're probably, it might not be where you want to be. It might not help your branding. You might want to brand yourself higher up in the sales funnel. So it's not a fait accompli. It's not a for sure thing that you necessarily want to rank for best. It is proven in single variable tests. If you add best to your title, you will get a ranking boost. But if everyone else has best in their title too, then the ranking boost is null and void. And it'll skew your keyword families to try and rank for best XYZ as opposed to just XYZ or by XYZ. And then you might not rank as well, and you might not sell as well. Because at the end of the day, you want to sell, and the best keyword might not be best for you to rank for, which is kind of ironic and would make a really good blog article if I cared and wrote about such things. I hope that makes sense. Okay, now she says, no, sorry. I mean, before we had all apples in one category. Now we should have red apples, blue apples categories. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, what I answered there. It's all based on the keyword. You got to search in Google and do some research and see what Google is showing for that. So go back and rewind the video and check out to see how I was looking for wooden toys and different kinds of wooden toys and how I made the differentiation of what page would be on what. So right now, what we would be doing is we would have, I search for wooden toys. This would be its own page. 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 All these are its own page, right? And all the ones that are bolded are all collected on the same page, but all these ones over here in the drop down in the Jesus Christ, I can't remember what that's called. I'm having a dumb moment, but all in the related search and all in the drop down are all likely going to be different pages. And so that's a very easy and quick way of telling what pages to make, and that applies to any kind of page: category pages, sales pages, or information pages. The only time is that when you notice that Google likes to rank a lot of category pages, then you're like, okay, let's say for the sake of example, these two pages are category pages. I would need to click on them to know for sure, but let's just say for the sake of example, on the search wooden toys, these two pages are category pages, and these two pages only. Then that tells me a couple other things. Because remember, it might not just be a homogenized algorithm. They could be doing query deserves diversity here and deciding that they want to place two category pages here and only two category pages. Then you have to think of it like, I only have two. It might be the case I only have two pages here to rank for. These are my competition, not all these. And I might have to just beat these two guys. And that could be much, much better, or it could be much, much worse, because these guys could be really, really hard to beat. And you could look at it like, actually, that's super bad, because instead of being able to rank down here, now, apparently, maybe I have to just compete with these two guys. I'm not sure. So, and also, it'll be a way of differentiating yourself. If everyone here has a category offering, you might want to have a product offering. You might want to differentiate yourself. You need to take a look. It all depends on what's going on. But anyway, you need to look at what the keyword is. And a page is just a keyword page. It's all it is. And if the users are expecting to see a category listing, like if they're searching for wooden toys, they probably want to see a category listing. So you pretty much have to make a category for that, probably. But if they're looking for traditional wooden toys, you see if you put the cursor at the front, it gives you suggestions at the start. So this is a bunch of brands. Look at all these brands here. And they're pulling it from my IP address. I strongly doubt you guys have Kmart over there. We barely have Kmart anymore. Even though I'm searching on SEO.uk and I used Bright Local. But so if I did traditional wooden toys, I even have extra variations. These are probably all category pages. There's probably no getting away from it. Because they said toys plural. But if I did traditional wooden toys, you probably have to have some kind of category page, some kind of options. If I only gave them one traditional wooden toy to buy on this page, that'd be really weird. Oh my goodness. Look at how crappy. You know how bad the quality of all these other pages have to be before they'll give you 3 listings from the same website? Oh my goodness. Maeve, try and make a page to compete for this right now, because these guys all have a crappy quality score. I'm sorry if your site is included here. I don't see it. But look how terrible they're giving. They're like, these guys are also bad. We're going to give you 3 options from the same site. And they got the site links. I bet you their AdWords spend here probably is helping. But look how terrible this is. Why? My goodness. You should immediately try and put a page up to try and compete for that. Okay. Is there anything else? Any other questions you guys have? I don't see any other questions. All right, guys. So thanks very much. I'm going to give you, there's a 30-second delay on the YouTube, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds to decide if you want to ask any more questions. So tomorrow is our test results meeting, and I might share that as well. I doubt it, because we have a big new test coming up, and I don't want to share it with anybody else. So I don't want Google to find it either. So if you want to get more test results, join the mentorship group. If you're already in the mentorship group, ask away, and we will talk about the test results. And I hope that helped out. And if you have no more questions, that's fantastic. I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.